In this week's podcast, we'll be discussing 4 places you can head to when you need new content ideas.
Welcome back to JFDI with the two Lauras. This is the weekly show where we talk about all things to do with working as a social media marketer. When it comes to content, crappy clients, making more money, we cover it all. And on today's show, we are diving into 4 secret places that are not actually all that secret, where we go to find content ideas whenever we are stuck for something to say on social. They work for us, they'll work for you, and they'll also work for your clients. Before we dive into it, we would love it so much if you would please leave us a review wherever you're listening. Obviously, just hit the 5 stars because we're worth it, and let us know what you love about the podcast. That helps us to understand what you enjoy so we can bring you more episodes, and it helps the podcast platforms to know that they should be sharing the podcast with more people who can come and listen. So yeah, we would be really appreciative if you do that. But let's just dive in straight away. Over to you, Laura Davis. What is the first place?
The first place, and the place I probably go to fairly automatically now, is Google. But stick with us. I'm not just saying I'm going to go to Google.
Content ideas.
Yeah, please can you give me content ideas for X niche? Although, it's worth trying. But what we're talking about is things like the suggested other search terms, which we'll talk about a bit more, and also the people also ask section. So where I'm saying about the search term, we should have thought about this because we're going to end up with a really crap example, but of greengrocers or something. But for our benefit, so if we were to look, we could search the term freelance social media manager. It's probably a little bit broad, to be honest, but freelance social media manager. And then as Google will then provide you with that drop down. So it may well be you've typed in freelance social media manager, and then in that drop down, it will come up with things like freelance social media manager prices, freelance social media manager courses, freelance social media manager contracts. Like there could be all sorts. So those suggested searches is what people are looking for. So we're like straight away, okay, right, let's go create some content about social media manager prices. Let's go create some content about where to get contracts from. Let's go, I can't remember what the other one are, the best courses to learn to be a freelance social media manager. So straight away, just off the top 3 suggested searches, we can go and create some content.
Yeah. And like you said, sometimes it's better to keep it broad but specific. Sounds really random. But so like, we wouldn't search maybe for Instagram, but we might search for Instagram carousel.
Yeah.
And that would bring up better results.
Yeah.
So you want it to be really related to whatever it is you want to create content about, but broad enough because you haven't thought of the idea yet.
Yeah.
Like something that your audience is interested in, or the name of your audience maybe. Like there's loads of different things that you could search for.
Because I think sometimes you just have these blank.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. But you just are like, yeah, okay, right, fine. I'm going to do some content. Now's the time. I'm going to sit down, do it. And then I'm like, nope, it's gone. Especially for our own businesses. Like it's often easier for your clients. And I don't know why that is, but I think we as all freelancers will struggle. Yeah, struggle to come up with ideas. So sometimes you just need that push in the right direction. And those kind of suggested search terms are really useful for giving you, because I can straight away go, right, freelance social media manager's prices, and straight away we could be, we can now do this and we can do that. That sometimes that gives us enough that we can then go off on a bit of a tangent.
And you might see something and you might think, oh yeah, but that's really basic, and like there's loads of content answering that. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
You want to know if people are searching for it and people are bothering to answer it, it shows you that it's of interest to people and it's useful and people want to see it. So putting it on social, perfect.
Yeah, I think we are all as freelancers get into this tricky situation of where we're trying to create content that positions us, and we think by that it has to be complex. We have to be talking about big strategic things, whereas actually some businesses who are just looking for the basic stuff, like one of a friend of mine who's set up her own business messaged me the other day, and she said, Laura, how do I put captions on a reel? And actually I was thinking, God, do I know anyone? Bear in mind, we've got handful of social media managers in our world. Do I know anyone who's created that kind of content recently? They possibly created it when the caption features was rolled out, probably 3, 4, 5 years ago even. But has anyone shared that? I couldn't think of anyone. So obviously I then just did her a quick video and showed her how to do it. And then it was like a week or so later, she was asking me about sharing content and why someone couldn't share one of her stories. And she just didn't know that she had to tag that business for them to be able to share. So again, I was thinking, well, hang on, who shares that kind of stuff? I couldn't think of anyone. So I just, not because I was trying to not help her, but I just thought, this is an opportunity for me to share someone else's content and try and help a freelancer out. But I couldn't think of any. And obviously you may well be doing this, and that's fine. I'm sorry if I didn't find your content to share. But it just reminded me of how, just because you might be a few years down the line with your social media journey, there are businesses starting constantly, or new people taking responsibility for social media within a business that needs those basic things. And they get overwhelmed when people share really complex things or big things or chunky things. They just want the simple things. And I think when we think about content in a simple way, that actually also helps us to generate the ideas.
Yeah. I think it's so easy for us to think, oh, well, everyone thinks they're a social media manager these days, so I don't need to put this kind of content out. But that's not actually the case. Not everyone thinks they're a social media manager. Not everyone even knows ChatGPT exists to even go and ask them the question of how do I share a story.
Yeah.
So, some people, and think about people are still starting to become social media managers. So they don't even know this stuff. So why would a business owner necessarily know it who's never done their own social before?
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you give a really basic answer to a question on your socials, and people are like, oh, this is really useful. Actually, can I just ask you, how also do I do this? And then you can say, oh, look, this sounds like a perfect to get on a one-to-one call, do a power hour. Why don't we sit down and find some time and I can help you with all of your questions?
Yeah,
and they're like,
perfect.
You know what, that would be useful, because rather than them having to wait for people to create content, they can get on a call and have all their questions answered.
Love it.
And it's a great way to get in with a business that in a few years' time, when they're up and established, you're the kind of person they'll remember to come back to.
Love that.
But we kind of digress slightly. So, because also within Google you've got the people always ask section, where it, again, for exactly the same as the suggested search terms, it shows you other questions related to what you put in. So for us freelance social media managers, it will put in loads of other questions. And sometimes you can literally just lift those questions and create the answer in content.
And lots of people don't know that if you open some of those drop down things, it reveals more of those questions. Yeah. So the more you open, the more, but the more related to your original search ones that you open, the more will show up that are still related. The more varied and kind of veering away from that original search. If you open those ones, then it will open more that are related to that. So just be careful about what you open. And also sometimes you will get different responses if you're incognito versus if you're on your own Google account.
Nice.
So try that too.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Google, our friend Google. Can't beat it.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone
has access.
I've just realised within this we're not going to discuss ChatGPT, and I'm quite proud.
Oh my God.
I'm quite proud of that, because I bet you all thought we were going to do something AI.
Yeah, no AI here.
ChatGPT.
Although the next one has a little bit of AI. Yeah. Technically there is some AI. But there is no ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we get on with it? Number 2?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay.
We've dangled that carrot.
Number 2 is TikTok. If you don't use TikTok for marketing, that is fine.
Don't
don't really either, but you should still use it for content ideas. And by that, I don't mean opening TikTok, watching shitloads of videos and, draining your battery and falling down some sort of TikTok hole. My algorithm on TikTok is so random. I fell down a parrot hole a while ago. Literally all the videos were just of parrots like dancing and talking. It was very random. So you do have to be careful when you're looking for content ideas on TikTok, because you kind of fall into very specific algorithms. But we're not doing that. We are similar to Google. We're going to use TikTok search this time. And TikTok search is really good because you can start quite broad, but still related to whatever it is you want to search for. And then it gives you the little buttons that are quite similar to people also ask on Google. And if you click into those, it will show you more. And the more kind of you click into, the more specific you will get to. So you can come up with some really good ideas that you don't have to use for TikTok content. You can use them on any platform. So you can make a video, or you could write a text post on LinkedIn, or you could create a carousel on Instagram. So you can use it for all sorts of things. But because people are searching for it on TikTok, the chances are they want to see it everywhere else. You know, we don't just look for one type of content on one platform and do something totally different on other platforms, do we?
No.
You know, we do very similar across the board. So that is really useful. But there is also another tool on TikTok, which is fantastic, which a lot of people don't know, which you will have to search for. So you open TikTok,
which is weird,
go to
isn't
search.
it? Just to add on that, I find it really weird that you have to search for it. Like, why isn't it just like a button? And maybe it is, and we've just never found it.
Maybe. Don't know. Anyway, let's go with the way we do know. So open TikTok, go to search, and you want to search for Creator Search Insights. This little button will pop up. And when you click into that, it will show you lots of different things. So the one thing that it will show you is content gaps related to your account, right? So if you have got a TikTok for marketing, or your client has, and your content is very specific. So if you are showing lots of random broad content, it won't be as helpful. If your content is specific, it will show you content gaps on TikTok where you could create content that fills those gaps, right? So for example, if all of our content was speaking to social media managers about social media management, then it would show us content gaps for social media managers about social media management, right? And it would literally tell us like the content to create. That's not always great, because obviously it does depend on the algorithm.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's really good in there is that you can actually search. So you would search for whatever word it is, bookkeeper, greengrocer, Instagram, whatever. And it will show you what people are searching for and where the content gaps are there. And it will show you like a little graph, so you can see.
Yeah, with a flame.
Like, whether things are like really kind of on fire, you know, whether people are really looking for them. And it gives you like lots of data, which Laura loves, lots of numbers and stuff, which is great to look at. But if you then find whatever the topic is that you want to do, so when we last looked in here, I think we were looking for something to do with social media managers, and it came up with social media versus reality. And so we clicked into that. And when you click into it, it will tell you at least 2 content ideas that you could create. It will give you a title that you could use on TikTok. It will tell you the hashtags you can use on TikTok. You could probably use them elsewhere. And it might say to you, like, record a video showing the day in the life. Or it might say to you, show beginner tips about XYZ. And it will literally tell you what to put. Like, it's brilliant. And I wish more people, although maybe I don't wish more people knew about it. I don't know. I may regret my life choices in sharing this. Who knows? But it's definitely worth a look.
And it's definitely not talked about enough. It's just so handy.
Yeah.
But you will have to have TikTok
talking about it. People elsewhere, they're not so much. Yeah, but it's brilliant. And just like with the search, you don't have to use those ideas on TikTok. Use them everywhere. Like we've used that one that I just said before, the social media versus reality. We used it on Instagram as like a video. We used that idea in a text post. I think it was on Facebook.
And Threads, I think, didn't we, in the end?
Can't remember. So we've used it in various different places just from that, getting that idea. Because like sometimes if your mind's just blank, you just need someone to say, oh, talk about this thing. You're like, okay.
And that gives you, and sometimes you only need one idea, don't you? And it kind of, you get into your groove.
Escalates.
Then.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, not always, but yeah.
Okay, nice. So we've got Google, we've got TikTok, and in particular the TikTok Creator Search Insights.
Yeah.
Creator Search Insights. Number 3 is reviews. And what we mean by that is product reviews. If you want to go on Amazon, look at product reviews, maybe Airbnb reviews, checkatrade.com, those reviews, Google reviews, Facebook reviews, depending on what your business is and or your clients, and depending on what they're selling, will obviously guide you. Like, there's no point us going on Airbnb reviews because it's not relevant to us. But if you can, if for example you sell a product and you go and find that product or similar product on Amazon, you can go look at the reviews that people have left, and that can prompt you to create content. So it could be someone said something really negative, like, I hate this hairband, it snaps every time because I've got really thick hair. So then you can go, okay, I sell hairbands, I'm going to go and create content to talk about why my hairbands don't snap even with really, really thick hair.
Yeah.
So it could be you're finding a negative review and you're turning that around to why your business, your hairband, your business, your product.
Can I just say
is
that
better.
is the most random idea, like suggestion that you've come up with, but also very good.
Oh, well, thank you. It's just because I've got a hairband here. I've got a hairband or key, and I couldn't think of a key angle, so I went hairband.
Fine.
Or you can, obviously there could be like a positive review, and it could say something like, now you put pressure on me now. You could be like, I love this hairband because it doesn't leave my hair knotted, my curly hair knotted. And you also sell hairbands that don't do that. So you go, okay.
Do you know what this conversation reminds me of? Ponyo. If you were in our world when we did our first ads course, there was an ad that used to stalk me everywhere.
We're talking about 2019
yeah,
now.
2019, 2020. There was this ad that used to stalk me everywhere for this thing called a Ponyo. I don't know if it still exists. And it was a hairband, and I think it was made out of plastic, and you kind of folded it around your hair. It was really random. But the reason that I loved it, the messaging, was because I never put my hair up because I always get a headache. And their messaging was, this doesn't leave you with a headache. Yeah. So
nice.
Very relevant to you.
If you were around in 2019 and you remember the Ponyo ads and you were on our ads course, then come and just reminisce with us.
Send me a Ponyo ad so I get stalked again.
Yeah. And thanks for still listening 6 years on. So if it's something positive, like my hairband is amazing because it doesn't knot my hair, you can go, you know what, my hairband doesn't knot people's hair either. I'm going to go and create content about that. So they're just very specific ideas.
Very specific.
You get my gist. So you're not just looking at negative reviews, you're looking at the positives, and you're looking at how you can turn that into content ideas. And honestly,
just different angles.
It just makes you just think so from a completely different angle. And I think, I found that most useful when I'm working with clients, because you can kind of feel like you just, I've said this so many times. Like, how can I say this differently? Or how can I get this point across? And then you go and you look at some of these reviews, and it can be, super useful. And you could be thinking, well, hang on, my clients don't sell a product, or they're not Airbnb, or they're not a builder, or they're whatever else. But you could, there's books normally, like, find me a book on a topic that hasn't been written about and got a book on Amazon. There's often somewhere you can find something.
And like if your client is like maybe a service provider or a coach or something like that, maybe they've got LinkedIn reviews, and you can read what the problem the person was having beforehand and what they've said about working with them. Those sorts of things can sometimes give you an angle.
And you can totally go look at your competitors. Like what LinkedIn reviews, Facebook reviews, Google reviews are your competitors getting from clients? Because if the client says, I loved this because of this, and you offer that too, you can then go and say, well, hang on a minute, I need to tell the world that I do this too, and I can do the same, so let's go create content. So there's nothing wrong with going and having a little cheeky look at what your competitors' reviews are.
Love that. Okay, so that was 3.
Number four is looking at our own data. Woohoo! Whoop whoop. The best part.
For you, perhaps.
But I think it's interesting. Like, lots of people will always say, "Oh, I really struggle with like analysing my data," and I think that's a lot because people open up their analytics, whether it be on the platforms or in a third party, and they just go, "Wow."
Yeah.
So you have to always look at it based on
what do you want to know.
What do you want to know? What one thing do you want to know? So, for example, We were looking for some content the other day. We were looking, we were pre-launch, so we were looking for some kind of build-up content, high engagement. We went into our metrical, I was going to say app. Is it an app? Website, tool. And we went to the analytics and we thought, right, I don't need the kind of education. I don't need the what things that people are necessarily saving. I want the things that people are sharing, commenting on. So I looked in the analytics. I looked at the highest, our best performing content based on comments and shares. And that's what we then looked at and was like, right, can we repurpose any of these content? Can we push it out again? Can we put the same message out but on a different B-roll? Can we do a talkie scripted video? Can we create this into a carousel? That's all we needed. So then we created loads of content just based on our old best performing content and redid it in a different way. It might not perform as well.
Yeah.
But we won't know until we try.
No. But often you can see trends, can't you, when you do that? Because you can be like, okay, so every time I talk about this topic, I get loads of comments.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean to be that you repurpose the existing content.
No,
it's just the topic can give you an idea of something to talk about.
Yeah. Or how can I say this in a slightly different way? Or is this,
how can I say this funny in a funny way? Or
or hang on, this was relevant back in December at Christmas time. How is this relevant now? It's summertime. Is it still relevant? Can I just say it the same, or do I need to change it to make it more relatable now when we're in a heat wave versus when we're in the cold? Although it doesn't need, maybe it's just because the video, like we saw one, didn't we? We were like, oh, we could just put this out again. Then I realised, like, I'm in a woolly jumper, and like we were like, it's just look odd, literally, as we are in a heat wave as we're recording this. That we put out a reel of me in a woolly jumper. So sometimes it's okay. Well, let's just re-record it. Let's be wearing a t-shirt. So it doesn't have to be this big, arduous having to create brand new content from scratch.
And I know we said we weren't going to mention ChatGPT, but this is where you could bring ChatGPT in it, because you could find those videos that are all getting great content, and you could do a few things. You could pull them all out and put them all in ChatGPT and say, tell me why all of these have got great comments or got loads of shares, and it could tell you like the themes or the reasons that you can use again. You could put a video in that, like you just said, that you put out on Christmas, and be like, how can you change this script to be relevant to the summer?
Yeah.
There's loads of different things that you could do with that, where you're giving ChatGPT really specific information and really specific instructions. So it's not just thinking about random ideas from nowhere. Yeah. It's got a good starting point.
Love that. And I think sometimes, and maybe this is just me, so everybody listening might just scroll, fast forward to the end, because maybe I'm alone with this. But sometimes when I'm given too many ideas, so too many ideas of how to create ideas, I get overwhelmed and go, oh my God, I'm not going to do anything now. This is too much.
This is like, so when we were at Atomicon and we went to the Adobe Express counter, they were giving out those luggage labels, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they said to us, we're going to use generative AI. You can put whatever you want in it. And we were both like, what are we going to put in it? Because we didn't have a starting point. Yeah. And you have to have that starting point, don't you, in order to get something out of it. Yeah. If you just said to me, can you go and create some content? It leaves me with too many questions. About what? For what platform? What's our goal? What do you want people to do? Yeah. Like, am I in it? Are you in it? What kind of content? You
need to have a bit of a focus. And if you're listening to this podcast thinking, oh my God, this is all great, but now I don't know where to start because you've given me too many ideas, just pick one. Yeah. Pick whatever you think's the easiest one, whether it be repurposing your content. Some people find that easier than others. Some people may never have considered the Google search, or people always ask things. So maybe you'll go down that route. You don't have to do all four, because as we've mentioned a couple of times now, sometimes you can just have one piece of content idea and that is enough to set your brain off going to think of the rest of the ideas you need for the rest of that week. So don't sit here and go, oh my God, I haven't got time to do all this. It's just too many. We're not telling you you've got to do all of these things. No, far from it. Not. It's just, if you sat there with your laptop in front of you and you are literally drawing a blank and you are bored of the ideas that you are getting or your clients are maybe suggesting, then that is the time to just try one of these things. If that doesn't, one of them doesn't work, fine, try another one. But don't just think, oh my God, I've got to do all these things. Because if you did all of those things, you could, in theory, generate way too many ideas. That all becomes too much.
Yeah.
So just don't be overwhelmed.
Yeah, love it. So yeah, drop into our Instagram DMs. Let me know if you're around for the Ponyo days, but also let us know which one of these things you are going to try. We really want to know. If you're watching on YouTube, then just leave us a comment below as well. Let us know those things.
And if you're looking at your own content and you're in your analytics and you're thinking, yes, these contents have worked in the past, I want to push them back out again. Fine, do that. If you're not, you've seen content that's working, but you want to kind of rehash it some way, you can download our free guide on remixing your content, which is thetwolauras.com/remix. And that will give you enough ideas that if you have 8 ideas, it will give you then the ways in which you can remix your content to give you at least 6 months worth of content posting every single day. So it's well worth downloading if you haven't already.
Yeah. There we go. We'll put the link for that in the show notes as well.
Yep.
But yeah. We will see you same time, same place next week. If we don't see you in your DMs before.
Yes. There we go. For the Ponyo chat.
Yes.
All right. Speak soon.
Ta-ra!
Bye.